How do you do? Jen and Cam feel it would be unkind to present this program without a friendly word of warning. We are about to unfold our true crime podcast, a podcast of lifelong friends who seek to examine crimes which were committed without reckoning upon God. The discussion will be frank, and the subject matter will be of a grim and violent nature. I think it will thrill you. It might even horrify you. So, if there are young children listening, or if you feel unwilling to subject your nerves to such a strain, now's your chance to, well, we've warned you.
Hi, Jen.
Hey, Cam, how are ya?
I am, fantabulous, I guess.
Woohoo! Your house is everything's packed up.
I'm in
put in
a brand new closet coming to you live.
Woohoo!
And it's tiny, and I have clothes in my face, and I'm staring at a wall. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I heard it's always better if you come out of the closet.
Well, I can't
live your
because
life.
There's no sound, so that's not going to happen. So
yes, so we had a little break. We're back, and we are ready to go. Are you ready for today's episode?
I'm totally ready. I'm excited that I just have to sit here. You know, like in life.
Yeah. Pretty much what you do on the regular.
I know, right?
All right, are you ready? Let's go.
Ready. Let's go.
At around 10:25 a.m. on February 13th, 2018, a 911 call came in from a woman on Lake Couer in Idaho. The woman identified herself as Lori Isenberg. She was hysterical, and she told the dispatcher, quote, "I need help. I'm on the lake, but I don't know where. My husband has had a stroke and he fell over. I tried to grab him. I tripped and I can't find him. He fell overboard." Emergency responders had to try and trace the woman's call to find her on the 25-mile-long lake. When they arrived, she was sitting alone on a stalled boat, crying and bleeding from her nose. Lori told investigators that she and her husband, Larry, had intended to go out on the lake for a pre-Valentine's breakfast at the lake resort. As they made their way across the water, Larry started exhibiting stroke symptoms. At first, his hand dropped from the steering wheel, knocking out the kill switch on the boat's engine, and the force of it bent the key inside the ignition. Lori had said Larry then went to look at the motor, and then his face kind of changed, and then he started to fall overboard. Lori said that she had tried to get to him, but she fell and hit her head, and then her nose started to bleed. She said that she'd panicked when she realized that she had left her phone back on their truck, and she assumed Larry's phone was in his pocket, which, of course, he's underwater and she can't get to. She didn't want to leave him to go back to the truck to get the phone. So she took off driving the boat. After driving the boat around for almost 2 hours, searching for Larry's body, she found his boat beneath a blanket and called 911. Rescue teams were deployed, but it was early February. The lake was around 38 degrees, which made Larry's chances of survival very slim. Lake Couer is as deep as 200 feet in parts, and the area where Lori believed Larry had fallen overboard reached depths of around 140 feet. And in cold water, bodies sink quickly, and they take a long time to resurface, and that's if they ever do resurface. Falling into water that cold can send your body into shock, meaning that it's more likely that Larry drowned or got hypothermia in less than a minute. While they promised the distraught woman that they would do everything they could to find Larry, they knew that it would be a recovery mission. It would not be a rescue mission. Larry Isenberg was from the area. He had been married for almost 3 decades and raised 2 children. The names Dean and Jessica raised them there. Larry worked in the timber industry and had great success, affording him and his family a very comfortable lifestyle. He was also a project manager for FireSmart, which offered wildfire protection for homes in at-risk areas by cleaning fire hazards such as trees from around their properties. Larry first met Lori when he hired her as a secretary for his timber business. She was married and had 6 daughters, so she was exhausted by the time they met.
Wow.
Pretty much. I can't imagine having that many kids.
I can't imagine having 3.
After what was alleged to be an affair, both Larry and Lori's marriages ended, and then the two got together. And they, of course, got married. They were both very well-respected members of their community. Lori worked as a facilitator and had been part of the America Speaks meetings that allowed New Yorkers to share their ideas for the World Trade Center site after the September 11 attacks. She then went on to become the executive director of the North Idaho Housing Coalition, a nonprofit that helps low-income families find affordable housing through foreclosed homes. What they would do is they would buy a foreclosed home, they'd fix it up if needed to, and then they would allow these families to live. Larry and Lori got married in 2004 and eventually bought a property south of Coeur d'Alene in Cougar Gulch. Their home was a massive ranch in the mountains near the lake. I think it was about a $1.5 million home. It was perfect for this adventurous couple. They would often go walking. They loved to fish and hunt together on the property, so it was a perfect place for them. So on the same morning that Larry disappeared into the lake with this mini stroke that Lori thought had happened, there was an article that was published in the Coeur d'Alene Press. The article stated that Lori had been fired from the North Idaho Housing Coalition and that an internal financial audit had been ordered. While Kootenai County Sheriff's Office was assisting with the search for Lori Isenberg, the Coeur d'Alene police told the sheriff's office that they had been informed of possible theft of funds from the coalition by Lori over a 2-year period. There had been checks signed without authorization for items she claimed were a part of fixing up houses that were to be put on the market. Some of the checks had Lori's name, her daughter's names, and even Larry's names. While that investigation into the fraud allegation was ongoing, Lori seemed to be focused on grieving for her husband, who at this point was still considered missing. She made a Facebook post that read, quote, "As you may have heard, we lost our amazing husband, father, brother, grandpa, and friend yesterday from an accident while boating. Though we are going to miss him dearly and our lives will never be the same, we are comforted to know he went quickly and had recently commented that he had, quote, just finished his bucket list, watching the Falcon Heavy launch. We are certain his spirit is up driving the Tesla Roadster launched with the Falcon Heavy." Dive teams from the sheriff's office scoured the lake daily, and the search was assisted by specialist sonar equipment. But they couldn't locate the missing man. Sheriff Ben Wolfinger said at the time, quote, "All indications point to this being a terrible, terrible tragedy." This was something Lori spoke about, too. She sent an email on February 20th, almost a week after Larry went overboard. The email was obtained by the Hagedorn News Network. In it, she said that Larry had been sick with the flu for a few days, and she hadn't been sleeping well. So the night before the accident, he'd suggested that they get out of the house for a while. They'd go watch the sunrise on the boat before going to the resort for breakfast. She said they had woken up around 4:30 in the morning, and they went to Sunup Bay to watch the sunrise. They had a space heater in the boat to stay warm, and she drifted off to sleep as Larry drove around for a bit. She said that when she woke up, Larry was acting a little funny, kind of odd. And Larry went to stand up, and then he put his weight on the boat key instead of the dashboard, and it, of course, fell out, and then they had problems getting the key back into the ignition because it was bent. Larry went to make sure that the electric trolling motor was working in case they would need it. And as he was looking at the motor, he said that the motor just didn't sound right. Then all of a sudden he stood up, and he had a confused look on his face, and he just fell overboard. Lori said she tripped over the heater and banged her head to try to save him. And in an email, which she goes on and she says that while she's typing this email, she's telling them she has to stop writing this email because she's having a meltdown. Okay. Quote, "I started driving fast and frantically looking for him. Dumb, I know now, but I think I was in shock. Speeding from one floating log to another in all directions without ever looking up from the small area of the canvas I could see out of. I could not call for help, and I had no sense of direction or time because I had left my cell phone in the truck and Larry had his in his pocket. Also, because I had been dozing, I had no idea where we were on that huge lake. Additionally, I didn't have my distance glasses because I leave them in my car for driving, so even if I looked up, I would have not have seen much detail on the shore from the middle of the lake. I get that.
That would be horrifying, and,
Horrifying.
I am blind, as are you, and I always worry about, if I take my contacts out at night, if I lost my glasses on the floor, if there was a fire. I'm not kidding.
Oh, no, I know.
I can't
It's scary.
see.
Oh, and my onset's worse than you. I mean,
I know it is.
-8 something. I mean, it's bad. She said she then realized her nose was bleeding, and after driving around, the motor gave up, and she was alone in the cold when she found Larry's phone. She said, quote, "I was okay, just some hypothermia and bruises on my face. I was only in the hospital for 1 day." Lori also wrote about helping with the search and how the team had told her she was an amazing woman for going out. And she ended the email with, quote, "I cannot describe the pain I feel. It's like half of me is gone. I'm doing a little better every day. I've lost 11 pounds because I can't eat, and the only way I can sleep is with sleeping pills, or else I have nightmares. So now I'm trying to focus on the future. Larry and I agreed years ago that if anything happened to either of us, we would sell our paradise because it would never be the same without both of us, and there's no way I could take care of it. I am not in a hurry, but I also do not want to be here alone much longer. Lori Isenberg. The day after Larry fell off the boat, Lori had sent an email to the Housing Coalition. And just for a little backstory here, a little context, the accountant, Virginia Tate, had been trying to look at some of the coalition's financial records. But wouldn't you know it, Lori had essentially locked her out of everything. I mean, she stopped inviting Virginia to board meetings, ignoring her calls. She even changed the bank account passwords. She just wanted to keep all the financial control of the coalition. She didn't want anybody to see what she was doing. Eventually, Virginia demanded to see Lori's work computer. But Lori and her family took a trip to Florida instead. Lori's email to the Housing Coalition details her excuses about not handing over the computer, and she was on vacation, then Larry had the flu, and then by the time he was feeling better, he ended up falling over the side of the boat and disappearing underwater. But in this email, she says, quote, "If it makes you more comfortable to have my computer while I go through these next couple weeks, I will have one of my daughters bring it to you. Maybe you can have someone clone it for me? I used it as my personal computer also, and it has all of my banking, financial, photos, and personal information on it. I want to get this over with. I will show you everything I did, and I can pay all of it back as soon as I sell my home. I am a horrible person. Please, please, please don't punish Larry's family and his memory with this now. I know you have no reason to trust me, but I swear I do not want to hide what's on the computer because it proves I was the one doing the invoices for TMT and J&B services, which, once again, I don't know what those companies are. I need to be punished for what I did, though I think God just did that by taking away the best part of my life. The only reason I hired Peter was to keep you from contacting my daughter about what I had done using their names. I have no misconception that I could hide any of it once you started looking, and I have not tried to. I just was not able to get my personal things off of it first, and now I don't care. I will pay everything back and accept my punishment without causing you the need of a long investigation. Please don't punish my family for what I did. I do not have my phone, so please email me back so I can grieve without worrying about my actions being public and damaging Larry's memorial." The Coeur d'Alene Police Department worked quickly on the suspected embezzlement case. They were able to get a search warrant for the Isenberg house in Cougar Gulch, and when they got there, Lori seemed to be packing up belongings and shredding documents. She was immediately arrested on February 26th and charged with 40 counts of forgery and 1 count of grand theft. The sum she was accused of stealing was almost $500,000, and because the coalition was partially funded by taxpayers, it would snowball into a much more serious crime. Lori's bail was set at $75,000. Her lawyer, Amanda Fidley, asked the judge to release her because of her long-standing history in the community and the fact that she, quote, may have a funeral to arrange. Her daughter, Chrislyn, posted Lori's bail the next day, and Lori began signing over properties to her sister, Jamie DeVault. On March 1st, someone living in the Sunup Bay area called 911 to report a body on the shoreline outside of their home. It was almost 3 weeks for the official identification to be made, but because of the freezing temperature of the lake, the medical examiner was able to conduct a thorough post-mortem. Larry hadn't drowned. He also had shown no sign of a stroke or any coronary issues. The report stated he had died from diphenhydramine toxicity, which is a Benadryl overdose.
You can OD from Benadryl?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Well, Benadryl is an antihistamine, and it's mostly used for hay fever and other allergies. Typical levels of Benadryl found in a person's body when they are taking it for the right reasons range between 100 and 1,000 nanograms per milliliter. Lori Isenberg had 7,100 nanograms of Benadryl per milliliter of blood in his body. Basically, it causes you to you could have hallucinations, you can get foggy brain, you can get dizzy, you can pass out, all sorts of stuff.
So you fall, head it.
You could fall into the boat in the water and drown.
Yeah.
Become discombobulated. Yeah. The sheriff's office had their suspicions when they conducted the search of Lori's house in Cougar Gulch. They had found a bloody latex glove in the garbage can and a bloody Kleenex. They also found handwritten changes made by Larry's will, which left 80% of his estate to Lori's daughters and only 20% to his own children. That's not suspicious at all. Nope. Handwritten? Nobody will take notice to that.
Nobody will see that.
The investigators spoke with Larry's family and friends to try to get a sense of whether he knew about Lori's alleged embezzlement or if they were having any marital problems. One neighbor said that Lori and Larry had stopped going out for walks together a few months prior, and one of Larry's friends had received a text message the morning he fell off the boat that seemed like it was written by someone else, and it also contained some emojis, which, of course, Larry would never use. But who would use them?
Most guys do. Do they?
No. Yeah. I also was watching the Dateline episode of this. It's called Kill Switch. And they said that the kids actually received a picture of the lakes, and it was from Larry, and he was like, oh, look at the beautiful sunset or sunrise or something like that. But then when the police later looked into it, it looked like Lori had airdropped the photo from Larry's phone, which looked like Larry's phone sent, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sent the email, but it really wasn't
fake.
Larry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lori was due to appear in arraignment in May 2018 on the fraud charges, but she never showed up. Her attorney said that she had been traveling, but he had expected her to be back to appear in court. Her bond had been posted through quick release bail bonds in late February, and once she failed to show up, her arraignment bounty hunters were set out to find her and bring her back. And a $500,000 bench warrant was issued for her arrest, and her bail was revoked. And they had no idea where Lori was. Now, the sad thing is, the bail, her daughter bailed her out. Oh. So now her daughter is stuck paying this bail bondsman the $75,000.
That's a lot of money. Don't you have to put that up front? Do you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the bailsman loans you the money on, they'll get it back when she shows up to court.
But you have to
I have no idea.
Up.
Luckily, I've never had to post bail for anybody.
You've been arrested a lot, Jen. I think you have to show collateral or whatever it is. You know what I mean? You can't just say, hey,
I'm sure she could put her house up.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But still, it's her daughter. Lori left her daughter in this financial mess. It's horrible. And she was gone so long. This is another thing I learned from the Dateline episode. She was gone so long, Dog the bounty hunter wanted to find her. And it was going to cost her daughter, Lori's daughter, another $10,000 for Dog to get involved.
Dog's kind of amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Brian. Hashtag Brian. You know what I'm saying?
I know. But I just thought that was funny that Dog shows up again. Because it was getting so popular in the news that Dog is like, yes, I'll find her. But anyway, Lori's sister Jamie denied knowing where she was. But after a month on the run in California, Jamie drove Lori back to Idaho, and Lori went straight to jail. It had become a federal case by now, and Lori likely knew that she couldn't outrun the FBI.
But they try.
In November of 2018, she was brought to court to enter pleas to 3 counts of federal wire fraud and 1 count of theft from a federal program. The wire fraud charges carried a potential sentence of 200 years each, and the theft charge could land her 10 years behind bars. Her daughters, Jessica and Amber, had pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit federal theft for accepting the money transfers from their mother. They were sentenced to 3 years of probation and 100 hours of community service. They also had to repay a hefty sum of money. Her other daughters, April and Tracy, also received sentences for conspiracy. April was the only one to receive a detention sentence because she had had prior convictions. 4 felons. It was a real family affair, or at least for Lori's side of the family anyway. Yeah, it's amazing. Can you imagine being...
But like angrily. I'm not snickering thinking, yeah, it's fine.
Well, and then how do you feel? She had 6 daughters and she only brought 4 of them in. She left 2 out in the cold. And the one she left out in the cold, she just now got stuck with $75,000 bonds problem. I'm being really,
a little angry,
really
a little bitter. I'd be bitter.
Yeah.
Table of wood. Yeah.
In January 2019, Lori conceded and pleaded guilty. And a few months later, she was sentenced to 5 years in prison and ordered to pay a $20,000 fine. The prosecutor told the court that Lori had disgraced the coalition who had sold over 120 houses to people who wouldn't have been able to afford them otherwise. Lori receives a somewhat lenient sentence because she had fulfilled her restitution requirement and she had paid back the $579,000 she had stolen. The sheriff's office continued the investigation into Larry's suspicious death. When they had analyzed Lori's computer, they found that she had made internet searches about water depths, currents, drownings, boat rentals, boating accidents, all while they were on vacation with her family.
Why do people do that? Seriously? Do you not realize that technology leaves a trail? Seriously.
Mm-hmm. While in Florida, Larry had spoken to his doctor, and he had described that he had been experiencing some brain fog, which is what? It's a symptom of benadryl toxicity. Lori had been contacted by the Coeur d'Alene Press the day before the article that exposed her of embezzlement was published. And although she didn't respond, she did cancel the subscription to the paper. This was a paper that the couple had subscribed to for years, going as far back as 2015. They had written to the paper a number of times to express their love of certain columns and their feature articles. But Lori knew that Larry was about to find out about her little white-collar crimes that she had going on. And anyone who knew Larry knew that he would not have stood for that at all. Lori's children said that their father had been brought up to work hard for every dollar, and he made sure he knew where his money was spent. And although he was very generous, he would rather spend the time teaching his children and stepchildren how to manage their finances rather than give them handouts. The case was passed to the grand jury in January 2020. A grand jury procedure is held in secret out of the eyes of the media, and the grand jury decides what formal charges can be brought against the accused. The prosecutor presents their evidence to at least 16 members of the public. Grand jury hearings are less favorable to the defense because only the prosecution can present evidence. Grand jury indictments also mean that cases bypass probable cause hearings and go straight to the plea hearing. So in February of 2020, Lori Isenberg was charged with premeditated murder. The prosecutor's office alleged that she had killed her husband by poisoning him, torturing him, and or lying in wait. And Lori was held in the Kootenai County Jail on a $2 million bond. As with most trials in the last couple of years, it was delayed over and over due to the COVID-19 pandemic until February 2021 when Lori Isenberg took an Alford plea. This type of plea is often called the best interests plea because it allows the defendant to neither claim their innocence or accept guilt. It's named after a North Carolina case in which the defendant, Alford, was indicted for first-degree murder. Knowing that he could face capital punishment if a jury found him guilty and that there was enough evidence to convict him, he chose to plead guilty and still maintained that he was not guilty.
That's interesting.
This reduced a first-degree murder charge to a second-degree murder charge, and just like it did for Lori Isenberg. Larry's daughter called the plea deal a slap in the face. Lori was able to plead guilty without actually admitting her guilt. In May 2021, her sentencing hearing was held and the prosecution detailed their case. They believed that Lori had killed Larry to prevent him from finding out about her embezzlement, and then it would lead to her losing half of her assets in a divorce. Because that's what people do. I don't want to get a divorce. We'll just kill him, right? It's easier.
Seems so much
Well,
better.
sometimes it might be, but come on. Larry's children, Dean and Jessica, gave victim impact statements, as did two of Lori's daughters, Amber and Chrislyn. Dean spoke about what kind of man his father was and how much he missed him, but that he felt close to him when he went out with his dad's dog, Echo. Dean said that Lori had killed his father after it became impossible for her to hide her actions from him. He said, quote, "To know that my father and best friend is no longer alive because of other mistakes and lack of accountability has been a sickening black pit in my heart and soul for the last 3 years and 4 months. It is a pain that I will likely never heal from." Dean added that he could only hope she did what she did to save him the embarrassment of finding out what his soulmate had done behind his back. Jessica Isenberg said that the way she lost her father had left a hole in her soul that she would never be able to fill, and that hole was deepened by the web of lies, deceit, and manipulation by Lori. She said, quote, "Closure is not attainable to myself and those deeply affected by the loss of such a great man and wonderful father." Lori's daughter, Amber, who is now a convicted felon due to her mother's actions, also spoke at the sentencing hearing. Amber said that Larry had dedicated his life to her mother, and Lori's Alford plea was, quote, "salt in the wounds of all who mourned the loss of Larry." Amber told the court, quote, "Our family lost 2 people that day on the lake. We lost Larry, the grandpa we loved. We lost Lori, the mother and grandma that we loved, trusted, and thought that we knew. Lori shattered our lives when she took Larry's life, but it didn't stop there. She continued to harm with endless lies and manipulation. She let us stand by her, protect her, support her, and believe in her. All the while, she knew the truth of what she had done."
See, I think that's so much worse, really.
Oh, totally betrayed them.
Admit what you did and be done. Like the dragging it out.
Amber said that her mother deserved to be held accountable for her actions and to be seen for who she really was. Chrislyn said that a part of her heart had died when she learned that Larry's life was cut short because of her mother's selfish actions, as she was someone who truly loved him and he loved her. Lori spoke for almost an hour. She said that she couldn't bear to watch her daughter struggle financially, so she began to embezzle money from the coalition to help them. She said that once she knew the truth was going to come out, she had to decide between suicide or life in prison.
"I want to state emphatically that I am responsible for Larry's death. Absolutely. I am so sorry for everything I did. Starting with the embezzlement that resulted in the lies, deceit, and ultimate betrayal of the love and the trust of the people I love, especially Larry. Saying I'm sorry. Larry used to hate it when people said I'm sorry. He said, instead of saying I'm sorry, live your life in a way where you don't have to say I'm sorry. But that's all I can say, even though it's wholly inadequate. All I can say is I'm so sorry for all the pain that I've caused from everyone, starting with the coalition and now to my family. The amount of pain and grief that I have caused Larry's kids, Dean and Jessica, the rest of his family and friends, along with my family, is beyond words. Beyond what words can express, and I am sorry. I will carry that burden with me until the day I die. I do not like the person I have become.
She said that she had planned to die by suicide, and the research found on her computer wasn't evidence of premeditated murder, but it was research that she had done to orchestrate her own death.
The next thing I had to do was decide how to kill myself. Again, I wanted to make it look like an accident. Sleeping pills are the easiest, but I knew that an autopsy would show that I had taken sleeping pills. So then I looked at drowning. Yes, I did a lot of research. Where can I drown where they cannot find my body so that there will be an autopsy? That was the intent of the second trip to Florida. There was the ocean there. I thought the ocean would be perfect. Unfortunately, I could not get out of the ocean. So nothing happened. Well, things did happen. While we were in Florida, we went to dinner with a couple that we met at the SpaceX launch. And of course, Larry started bragging, as he always does, about what a great marriage we have and how his wife spoils him and pampers him. And the gentleman with us said, "Oh, what a lucky guy you are." And Larry said, "Yeah, if anything ever happened to Lori, I would just shoot myself." Of course, we all laughed, but my heart just sunk. And I realized that I had been so self-centered, thinking about how I could kill myself and not have to live with any more of this pain, that I had not fully considered how hard this would be on Larry. I've always thought of him as this tough, strong guy that could do anything. I knew that he would be devastated. He is a very proud man. Some people might say too proud, but I say no, not too proud, because he deserved to be proud of what he had accomplished in life, including his 2 children. And the man he was. I knew he would be devastated, but I thought he would be strong enough to get through it. And then after he said that at the restaurant, I started doubting myself. I also remember that he used to say, especially to the grandkids, he said that we were going to live to be over 100. And then when we got to the point where we couldn't enjoy life anymore, we're just going to hold hands and walk out in front of a bus. That he didn't want to live a life that we couldn't live fully. I appreciate what Dean said. And maybe if I was about hoping that I had killed Larry to prevent him from having the heartache of finding out that his soulmate had betrayed him. Maybe Dean's right, but I'm not that type of person. I could not kill anyone else. I can kill myself. I spent the trip home from Florida And a couple of days after that, watching Larry closely, trying to decide what I should do. I remembered how often he said that if we got to that point in life where we could not enjoy it the way we wanted to, that we would rather be dead. My mind was on overload. What should I do? I did not want to think of the world without Larry in it.
Now I will say, she said that she had prepared herself a drink laced with Benadryl, and Larry must have drank it by accident on the boat that morning.
I realize that the point of today is for me to admit my guilt. I know that Larry would still be alive if it was not for me fixing a drink with Benadryl in it so that I would be able to selfishly and cowardly take my life. If I wouldn't have had that bottle in there, he would not have accidentally drunk it. That is my fault. I take total blame and responsibility for that. I know the punishment is severe. I know it could be life in prison. And as I said before, in my mind, all I had left was either life in prison or death. I willingly accept whatever is given to me, because what I did and what I took away from so many people.
Lori also took the opportunity to tell Larry's children that their father was so proud of them and loved them, and she told her daughters the same, even though they had testified against her. Presiding Judge John Wayman told Lori that, quote, I have no doubt, after listening to you and reviewing all the evidence that has been presented here, that the statements that you have made today are your truth. That is the truth that you have decided on. That is the truth that you're going to live with, and nothing is going to change that. I have to evaluate all the evidence, though, and when I review all the evidence that has been presented here, your truth doesn't hold up in light of all the evidence. It's the truth that you're going to live with based on what you have said here today, but it is not truth supported by all the evidence that has been presented. What I have in front of me is another human being who, when faced with some difficult circumstances, made some terrible choices and went through what I can only term a dangerous thought process to make the decisions that you have made that resulted in the ultimate death of Mr. Isenberg. People every day deal with difficult circumstances. People every day make mistakes where they violate a law, but it does not lead to a person to commit criminal acts like you did of theft and second-degree murder. The judge said Lori's daughter had summed up as best as anyone could. Larry loved her, he trusted her, and she killed him. Lori Isenberg was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Following the sentencing, Dean Isenberg spoke with Coeur d'Alene Press about life after the loss of his father and the impact Lori's crime had on his family's name. The name Isenberg is now associated with fraud and murder, instead of the good reputation his father had built and the one he carried on himself when he started his own business. Dean said that he felt robbed of the whole ordeal and his loss of inheritance, his reputation, and his father. The damages that were awarded to the Housing Coalition came from the family's estate, leaving him nothing. The family got nothing. And because Lori Isenberg took an Alford plea, she had not admitted her guilt in the eyes of the law, and if Larry's children sought to take civil action against her, the Alford plea would work in her favor. Larry Isenberg, God rest his soul, is remembered as a hard-working man of integrity who prided himself on his reputation and was beginning to spend his retirement in a paradise he grafted off his own merit, and with the woman that he said that he couldn't live without. And that's it. And you know what's funny? The way she embezzled, she set up shell corporations.
I don't even know what that is. I think I have to be smarter.
When I worked at that book wholesaler,
Uh-huh.
there was an accountant that worked there that did the exact same thing. what she did is she set up
like fake accounts,
fake businesses, and she would put her daughter as like in charge of like, she would say if it's to like fix a house, okay, we need to get new windows. So I'm going to bill this company. Oh. This is how I understood it anyway. I'm going to bill this company with Amber's address and Amber's name, and I'm going to write the check to pay off that invoice and send it to Amber or wire the money to Amber, and then Amber can have it. And then they did whatever they did with the money. So in the book, the wholesaler that I worked at, she made up a title of a book that was due to this publisher. It was a fake book. It was a fake book with a fake self-publisher. It was a self-published book. And it was with one of the people we worked there. It was his grandmother that they sent the checks to.
Shut up.
Mm-mm. And that's how she did it. She ended up doing almost $200,000 worth of embezzlement.
What did she do with that money? What did she do with it? Do you know?
I don't know.
Like a house? A boat?
It started that she needed the money for, I think, a husband's DUI or something like that. And it was,
come on. $200,000?
Needed like $60,000, but then it was too easy and she couldn't stop.
Didn't she feel guilty coming to work every day and seeing those people's faces?
I would.
Nope. I'd say no.
I would. And then the kicker, remember how nice the boss was, the owner of the business? Mm-hmm. He didn't prosecute her.
Because I don't know. No, he would not. He would never.
No.
Because he was a nice guy, but...
I don't know the deal they worked out, but he didn't prosecute her. $200,000, I would or I think that's the amount.
Yeah, but I think like lawyer terms, lawyers, all the hours, they'd be
I don't know.
Close to the same probably.
But anyway, Lori, I can't believe there's no one said what she spent the money on. Nobody knew. I mean, I don't know. Obviously she had the money because she paid it back. Larry didn't know what the money was. I mean, I guess her kids were using it to help them survive. But then they had all the money. I don't know.
Who knows? It's my mom worked in banking, and like she would come home and tell me about these stories about these little meek tellers in the bank that would steal, embezzle all the stuff. And I was like, what are they doing with it? Like crazy. I don't know.
I would get caught in a heartbeat.
Yeah, but I guess you have to be smart and you got to figure it out. But I guess if you work there long enough.
That's not me. That's not my MO. I'm not smart. You can mark that MO off that smart. Yeah.
You and
Mark smart off my MO.
We'd steal stuff and come up with like a Lamborghini and be like, hey, I know I'm only making minimum wage, but look at my Lamborghini.
No,
right?
I just can't math. I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out how to do it. Besides reaching into a till somewhere, into a drawer with money in it and taking money, I don't think I could really figure out the white collar crime. But like Lori had everything. She had children. She had a beautiful home on this gorgeous lake. If you would see this lake, it's gorgeous.
I think they get bored. I think.
And then she stole from humans that needed housing. I mean, you know what I mean?
It's the same thing of like people that play that they have cancer, right? And they.
Oh yeah.
It's the same thing. Same thing. Or stealing from like a school board, or the money is going elsewhere, and I don't know. Maybe it's about getting away with it. I don't know. Let us know.
And here's the deal. One of the audio clips, Camille, is she said she was going to commit suicide. And so she put the Benadryl in a drink. And then she was going to drink it, but instead he grabbed it and drank it. And so that's what really happened. But he had all these symptoms while in Florida.
I didn't even know Benadryl could do you in. Swear to God. Yeah. I didn't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, don't go taking a lot.
Nope. And I won't now. Not that I did before, but...
Well, anything in too much,
It's true.
Is bad for you. But, and I would think any medication. I mean, look at Tylenol. Tylenol's so good for you, but if you take too much, your liver
it's terrible.
Goes all bonkers.
Wow.
So, but yeah, this was amazing. Just amazing. You look at the woman, you never think. Like your mom said with the bank tellers.
That happens all the time. People don't.
But it looked like she had everything. Supposedly their marriage was wonderful. And just, are you laughing? You should. Sorry people, that's an inside joke for Cam and I. But her kids, she She killed her husband. She
think they think
betrayed
they can always
four.
get away with it. That's the thing. I think they always think they can get away with it. Plus, I think it's the adrenaline of doing it and then getting away with it.
I guess.
I don't know.
But like the judge said, she made the wrong choices, and all of a sudden she's going to get caught. What does she do? She kills her husband because she didn't want him to know. I just
people do stupid stuff like that.
Buck up, Betty.
They always make the wrong choice, though. They do. Like
Buck up, come clean.
They cheat on their spouse and then they kill them because they don't want to get a divorce, or they, I don't know. It's crazy.
I mean, I get it if there's problems and you can't get a divorce, but sometimes I don't know. I don't want to shame anyone or make
divorce is easier than life in prison. Let's be honest.
I know.
Am I wrong?
I know. Mm-hmm. I'd rather lose a crap ton of money than spend my life in prison. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I think it was a 2-parter. I'm not for sure. It was on Dateline Kill Switch. It's in this season. I think it aired in October. This was written by our good friend Eileen for us, real quick. Eileen. I've been under the weather. Camille's been moving, and she came through in a pinch, and she helped us out. So
She did. Totally.
I appreciate it.
And she's also from where?
Ireland.
Orland. I love it. And
she's adorable.
Cute as a button. Yep.
Oh, she's precious and funny. Oh my God, is she funny? Love her. She's so funny.
Just like me and you, Jen. Just like you.
Looking. We're funny looking.
Stop
We've got that face for podcasting. But anyway, real quick, have you been watching anything? Well, no, you've been moving. But you did watch what?
Ozark.
You took a little break to watch?
Ozark all day yesterday. It's
nice.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was talking to my student teacher today, and she's like, I quit watching that after the first season. And I'm like, what? 7 episodes, and I guess I can only guess 7 more. And I'm pretty sure, mark my words, and this doesn't mean they're all going to die. I think that's the only way it can end, because we're not going to talk about that other show that I hated the way it ended. We're not going to talk about
that. You're in the minority of?
No.
But anyway, we're not going to talk about that. But I tried to get it. I couldn't get into it. It's just like my mindset.
Jason Bateman is the cutest
it's one of those.
Ever.
Isn't he adorable? And I used to hate him on Silver Spoons.
God, I love him.
Did not like him on Silver Spoons when we were growing up. I was all Camp Ricky.
Ugh, barf.
Now it's like totally changed. Rick Schroeder, not. But Jason Bateman, he's funny. Yep. He's hilarious. He's like Paul Rudd.
No, he's cute. And
they get better as they get older.
I know. Yeah. It's so not fair.
Damn, man. Love them, but damn them.
Dang it.
One thing I did watch, because it was nothing but mind fluff, was Archive 81.
Ooh, what is that?
That was fun.
What is
It's very horror, sci-fi, goofy. I believe it's on Netflix. It was fun. I watched it with my cat, Chad. He had fun sitting in front of the TV watching it.
Yeah.
Well, there's like wavy lines that go through it sometimes, and he...
You like the wavy lines, Jen. Don't lie. Don't lie.
No, it's just cute. He was swatting at him. I was having more fun watching him than the actual Archive 81. But it was fun. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Is it the best thing I've ever saw? No. But did I waste an entire 8 hours of my day watching it? Yes, I did. I totally binged it. Mm-hmm. It was fun. Had nothing else to do. That's what I did. But go watch it and let us know what you think. But otherwise, I think that's it. Hey, we haven't done promos in a while, but today I have a promo. I do. We're going to play it real soon. It's from our friends Alex and Christy of Weird Distractions.
Alex and
I haven't really met Christy, but I absolutely adore Alex. Alex,
I'm sure you love Christy too. You just don't know her.
I'm sure I would. I just haven't really gotten a chance to get to know her. But Alex is amazing. She's funny. I like her. Not only do I like her, she's got a great looking cat. His name's Lee. He's gorgeous. He's like, I love him.
Like
Chad?
Me
and my animals. No, I love Chad, but Lee's like fluffy and cute, kind of a Torby. I love him. Okay. He's great. Alex is adorable.
I like my men, fluffy and
if
cute.
You want to see her, she's on TikTok with Weird Distraction TikTok. So visit them. Tune in to their podcast. I think they do a little bit of everything. Supernatural, little ghosty, little crime.
So
they do everything. Super cute.
Promo's playing right in like 2 seconds.
2 seconds, right after we turn off.
I love it. All right, Jen.
Yep.
And guess what? Until next time, thank goodness we are back. Gives me a little stability in my life.
Woohoo.
Until then, remember, lock your doors.
And keep passing by those open windows.
Bye-bye.
Love ya.
Do you often find that you need a distraction from everyday life?
Do you like true crime, conspiracy theories, paranormal stories, and other weird, dark tales?
Well, tune in and turn up Weird Distractions Podcast, where we, your hosts, Christy
And Alex.
bring you a weird distraction to help you get through the work week.
Every Sunday morning, you can find our show on Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Spotify, Good Pods, and more.
So, grab a snack, get comfy.
And make sure to lock those doors. Need a distraction? We got you.
Larry and Lori got married in 2004 and eventually bought a property south of Coeur d'Alene in Cougar Gulch. That's where I think you're living now, right?
I
You're
love
in some kind of
Cougar
cougar
Gulch.
country. Being a 52 single woman, you're in
42?
cougar country now.
42. Shut your mouth.
that's- Didn't I say 42?
42. Gulch, meaning like a thing you fall in. Yeah. Cougar Gulch.
The report stated he had died from diphenhydramine. Nope.
That's a fancy word, Jen.
Diphenhydramine.
You got it.
I know.
You got it. Do it again. Do it again.
I had it all in there, and there you go, budging in and taking it from me. You just had to step over me. I had it.
I did.
I was
Do
good.
it,
I
girl.
was
Do it.
using my chest to say it, and then you interrupted me.
Sound it out. Use your words.
Oh, I write
Come
it phonically. Trust me.
on.